Hey friends, it's Kelly. Thanks for joining me today. I am back again with another layout for the cut shop. And for today's layout, I am going to be using the Spin Wheels background cut file. I do have a quick Cricut Design Space tutorial. And if you're familiar with the Cricut software, this isn't going to be anything that's groundbreaking, but I wanted to show you how I use the cut file to create the diagonal design on the layout that I am about to make. So I inserted a square and then used the slice feature to cut out individual spin wheels from that background cut file. Now I want to weld a bunch of these images together. So I'm going to copy and paste the image a few times, and then just eyeballing it, I'm going to position them next to each other and use that arrow in the bottom right hand corner just to change the size of the spin wheels to whatever looks right and to whatever is going to fit best together. Now this isn't the actual design that I use for the layout, but I just wanted to give you a general idea of how I put it together. So I'm still just sizing these up, getting them positioned where I like them. Once I have them all positioned where I like, you have to make sure that all of the images are touching in order for it to weld together as one individual unit. So you'll select all and then hit the weld button under the layers tab, and then you'll see that they've all combined together. So here you can see I cut the cut file on a piece of white cardstock, and then I backed that cardstock with this blue polka dot print pattern paper from Amy Tangerine. I believe it is the Better Together collection. And then I also added some hand stitching using white embroidery floss around each of those images just to help it stand out a little bit more. I thought it just needed a little bit more texture. I did use 6 strands of embroidery floss. I normally only use 3, but I wanted to make sure that it really stood out and that the embroidery floss was nice and thick, so I did use 6 strands this time. There I was showing you a couple of overlays that I'm going to use, and I am going to position those on the black and white photo. You can see that I printed my photo in color and in black and white, and I did that because I wasn't sure if I wanted to use color photo or black and white photo for this layout. And I was just kind of laying them on the paper, seeing how they'd look, and they kind of laid down together like that, and I really liked it. It gave it a little bit of dimension, and I just kind of liked the difference between the black and white and the color photo laying on top of it. I just thought it was really cool, so I stuck with it. There you can see I am positioning those acetate pieces on top of the black and white photos and then just trimming off the excess. These photos were part of our family session that we had done last year. My sister is a very talented photographer, and she came to town and she took our photos, and I just love the pictures of Andy and myself together. They just turned out great. That one where I'm laughing, that is just us together. He's always making me laugh. He's always making me smile. So I love that she captured that. I have no idea what I was saying or what he was saying when she took that picture, but I just love how it turned out. It's just so us. So I wanted to make sure that I included it in this scrapbook layout. Okay, so back to what I'm actually doing with the layout. There I was showing you that I took a few of the rub-ons from the Amy Tangerine Better Together collection. I put them on vellum, and now I'm fussy cutting them out. I prefer to do that with my rub-ons. Very rarely do I take a rub-on and apply it directly to my layout, mainly because I'm indecisive and I know that I won't like wherever I put it the very first time. So I put them on the vellum, fussy cut them out, then I can use them more as an embellishment than just this rub-on that's stuck to the paper and I can't move it around. I positioned one of the chipboard flowers from the Chamel Starshine collection with the top grouping of photos, and now I am fussy cutting out some more florals from some of the acetate pieces that were included in that collection. I have very little left of that collection and left of those embellishments. I really liked that collection, so I used a lot of it up. So I'm having to be creative on how I can use some florals. The blue in the florals match the blue of that Amy Tangerine paper perfectly. So I wanted to make sure that I included some of that in this layout. I did add a tassel to that bottom right hand corner from the Maggie Holmes Shine collection. And there I was showing you that I had a lot of white space in that bottom left and that top right hand corner, and I just wasn't sure how I was going to fill that up. So I ended up going back into Design Space and cutting the cut file again, but this time I added an extra spin wheel at the top right and the bottom left. And now I'm just positioning the white cardstock back onto that blue pattern paper and just lining up the hand stitching. I knew that I did not want to have to do all that hand stitching again. So I'm just positioning it, lining it up, and then I'm going to come in and add some hand stitching to those new spin wheels that I added to the layout. So here you can see the close-ups of the hand stitching. And because I can't waste any product, I'm going to come through and I am going to cut out the blue pattern paper that is behind the white cardstock that is not visible with the hand stitching. I wasn't sure if I wanted to use it as a photo mat or if I wanted to incorporate more of that blue polka dot print throughout the layout. And I believe I only have one sheet of this, so I wanted to make sure that I had some to use in case I wanted to use it in another part of the layout later on. So I'm much happier with how this looks. I feel like it looks much more unified and I don't have to try to figure out how to fill in that white space now that the cut file goes all the way from the bottom left to the top right. So I'm going to start adhering things down. Those vellum pieces, I thought I was going to use my fine line bottle, but it was giving me troubles again. So I decided to use my Xyron sticker maker. And I really like that for vellum and for acetate pieces because you can't really see the adhesive behind either of those types of embellishments, which I know it can be hard to adhere vellum and hard to adhere acetate without seeing the adhesive from behind. So I'm going to position those gold diamond strips on either side of the photo for both of the photos, so top and bottom. And those are some of the rub-ons that I used from the Amy Tangerine collection that I fussy cut out. And I just really like how they look just kind of peeking out from behind the photo. It does take me just a bit to get those positioned just how I like because they are pretty thin and intricate. So I saved you from having to watch me fuss with these. So now I have them on both sides of the photos, top and bottom, and I'm going to start working on getting my embellishments adhered and just clustered around the photos. That is another rub-on from the Amy Tangerine Better Together collection, and they are 2 gold florals, and I am going to position them in the top right hand corners of both of the photo clusters. So now I'm going to bring in more of the florals from the Shoppe Starshine collection, and here I'm trying to see if there was some protective film over that acetate piece that I fussy cut out, and I must have removed it previously because I couldn't find anything on it. So now I'm just going to start to play with placement of the embellishments, just trying to figure out where I want things to go. I am going to add that chipboard tassel to the bottom right hand side of that right photo. And I'm trying to position it on top of the photo so I'm not covering up too much of those gold diamond shapes from the Amy Tangerine Better Together collection. I did try to keep the design balanced between the top photo clusters and the bottom photo clusters. I wanted to make sure that I had equal amount of color and equal amount of large embellishments just to make sure that one photo grouping didn't seem heavier than the other. Now I'm adding my title, which is Life Together, and that comes from the Maggie Holmes Shine collection from the Thickers pack. And I did play a lot with that title off camera, just trying to get it positioned just the way I wanted around the photo and to make sure it wasn't covering up too much of the cut file. So now I'm coming in with another ephemera piece from the Shoppe Starshine collection, and I'm just fussy cutting out one of the floral images. I wanted to add a little bit more pink to the layout, but I was running out of the flowers from that collection. So I was just trying to use what I had available to make it work for the layout. Now I'm adding a couple more of the chipboard flowers, and the white border on one of those smaller floral images was a little thick. So I'm just using my scissors and fussy cutting around the image just to remove a little bit of that excess white border. I'm just going to file off any rough edges and then get that adhered to the layout. And I'm really liking how this is coming together. It's looking very cohesive, and I'm just really liking the diagonal design and the groupings of the photos in the top left and the bottom right hand corners. I just really feel like your eye dances across the page. And I'm just checking to see if there's anything extra that I can add. And I am going to do what I told you that I hardly ever do. I am going to add some rub-ons directly to the page. I wanted to add a little bit more gold around those gold floral clusters. So I'm just going to go ahead and rub those small. There's some flowers, and I do add some hearts also just directly around those images. I was also trying to decide between splatters, sequins, and enamel dots. I decided to go with the sequins. I was a little nervous to place splatters onto the layout. Sometimes they get a little out of control, and there was a lot of time and energy invested in this layout with the hand stitching. So I wanted to make sure that I didn't mess it up in the very, very end. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a scattering of sequins. These are from Jelly Bean Soup, and they're the same blue color as the blue polka dot pattern paper that I have tucked behind the white cardstock. Once those are positioned, the layout is pretty much done. The only thing that I wasn't loving is I felt like there was a bald spot above the word life. So I do come back in with a couple more rub-ons from Amy Tangerine, and I just place them on vellum first and fussy cut them out. And I'm just going to position them directly above the word life. It helps fill in that area and adds a little bit of detail without it being too dramatic, and I really like how it turned out. Here are all the close-ups. I will make sure to link to the cut shop below so you can head over and check out the amazing designs. And as always, thank you so much for watching.